Today we'll be reviewing JJK fan theories, but not just any fan theories, no, they're your fan theories. You see, last week I pinned a comment on my UG Curse Tools video asking for your ideas, theories, or headcanon regarding anything and everything JJK. So in front of me I have 5 of your theories kind of chosen at random for us to review and discuss. Now, I've never really done anything like this before, so I kinda just picked them at random in the order that I saw them. So if you don't see your comment on this list, it's not because I didn't like it or think it was good, I just probably already started making this video before I saw it. But before we jump into our first viewer theory, just as a reminder, this video is meant for the anime and manga community to have a fun discussion. If you disagree with someone's idea, I just ask that you do it in a respectful way. For some people, it takes a lot for them to open up, to put their thoughts and opinions out in the open for the world to see, so just keep that in mind going forward. I mean, hell, I got a major detail wrong in my last video that I posted. Now, it's demonstrated early on in JJK that even in his base form, Yuji is very strong, stronger than your average person. But he's not throw a concrete pillar strong. The worst part is I said that so confidently too, that's seriously going to haunt me for the rest of my YouTube career. I don't know how I missed that detail. I was skimming through those chapters for weeks. But to all of you in the community who corrected me down in the comments without calling me an idiot or tearing apart the whole video, seriously, thank you. Okay, so moving on, first up we have Matt B.7079 who says, Theory time. The inverted Spear of Heaven is imbued with Angel's Curse technique back from when she was wielding it during the Heian era. Which is very interesting because I never made this connection, even though the names go so well together. You have Angel and the inverted Spear of Heaven. But this was commented on my other video where I kind of go in depth into how curse tools are created. And in one of those sections, I said the inverted Spear of Heaven could have been created by using a method called the bath, which is displayed in chapter 216. Where we see Sukuna soaking in this liquid concoction comprised of crushed up cursed spirits and various venomous creatures. The bath was used by sorcerers in the past as a ritual to turn family heirlooms into cursed tools in order to protect them from external threats. However, I like Matt's theory so much better because all of the pieces just fit so well together. I mean, they both possess similar abilities, Angels being to extinguish any and all cursed techniques, and the inverted Spear of Heaven being the forced cancellation of active cursed techniques. And thanks to Nanami, we know that it's possible for a cursed tool to inherit the wielder's cursed technique. Now, how that process takes place is still up for debate. It could either be from repeated use through the passage of time or the emotional connection shared between weapon and sorcerer. I don't know if Nanami ever had that with his weapon, but it's an idea I've always floated out there. But I don't know. If you ask me, I say that we vote to make Matt's theory officially unofficial, official, certified fan canon. That definitely made sense. Actually, don't know what I just said, but whatever, moving on. So next up, we have more of a what-if scenario rather than a theory, but Leopard Gecko Question says, imagine if Gojo had made a cursed tool. And I actually love what-ifs like this, especially when you're in a friend group discussion, because you could truly go crazy down the fan fiction rabbit hole in terms of, crazy power scaling or stuff like that, because it's all hypothetical anyway and doesn't really matter. Now, I'm going to add on a Gecko's scenario here by asking, if Gojo did use a weapon in JJK, what type of weapon do you think he would have used? Because for me, I don't picture Gojo as a blade guy, like a katana or a polearm. I very much picture him in the camp of, did anyone play like Soul Calibur back in the day? You know Keelik, the bow staff guy? I picture Gojo as a bow staff user, or, whatever, a 3-section staff like Playful Cloud. I don't picture him using swords or anything like that. But regardless, let's just assume for imaginary purposes that Gojo can control his cursed energy output through 6 eyes to such an extent that wouldn't instantly vaporize his chosen vessel. Now, which cursed technique would actually be imbued into the cursed tool? Because from my understanding, and I'm a moron, so don't take anything I say seriously, is that all of Gojo's techniques work by controlling space with cursed energy at an atomic level. For example, when combining Limitless with negative energy, you get a convergent force in blue. However, on the opposite end, when Limitless is combined with positive energy, you get a divergent force in red. And if you collide both infinities together, you get purple, but none of this is possible without the ocular inborn trait of the 6 eyes. And this ain't Naruto. People aren't going around just plucking eyeballs out of people's skulls and popping them in their own. There's only one of them in the whole world, and currently he's, which is why Yuta cannot just copy the limitless curse technique from Gojo's corpse in chapter 261. Additionally, Yuta underwent replacement training with Gojo, and even then, Yuta still had a hard time controlling red, blue, and purple, a feat that took Gojo years to master. So even if Gojo's imaginary weapon did inherit the limitless curse technique, there's probably not a whole lot you could actually do with it. I mean, it would be pretty hilarious if the curse tool only surrounded itself with limitless/infinity in order to ensure its safety, completely disregarding its user. But even if that's the case, I would assume that you could, in theory, channel cursed energy into the weapon in order to increase its striking output, similar to how Gojo uses the convergent force of blue to boost the power of his punches. Or Limitless could extend outward from the weapon to envelop its users, giving them an invisible and almost indestructible shield for as long as they're holding on to that cursed tool. That would be pretty cool. I don't know, there's a million different directions we could take this, but I think we could all agree that having a weapon in the story that is permanently infused with the Limitless technique that's active 24/7 for all infinity would cause quite a few plot holes, and would just get insta-deleted out of reality just like the inverted Spear of Heaven. Okay, so up next we have Shiny number 1, who says, I believe it was stated somewhere that Juzo was able to create cursed tools from people's bodies. Now, I don't know if that's his CT or just a skill, but it gives credence to your idea that Yuji's gauntlets are made from organic materials. Nice video, by the way, I'm subbing. Thank you, I appreciate the sub even with all of the errors I made in that video. Now, they're obviously talking about Yuji's arm gauntlets or gloves, whatever you want to call them, from the final Shinjuku showdown, where we're literally given zero information on what they do or where they come from, other than Yuji received them from Yuta. And in my video where this was commented on, I said that based off of the colorized chapter covers, Yuji's cursed tools look to be made from a bio-armor type of material. However, when making this video, I never made the connection to Juzo, who is by all means a psychopath that has an unnatural gift for creating bio-based cursed tools. We see this with Haruto's handsword and Dragonbone, which is hailed as Juzo's masterpiece. But if we take a closer look at Dragonbone, its composition seems similar to the materials that construct Yuji's gauntlets. The handle's roughly stitched with what could be a strong hide or skin. That matches the materials that covers Yuji's hands and palms, with the handguard and the 3 exhaust vents, or I don't know, whatever you want to call them, being made from bone that matches the same materials that guards Yuji's forearms and wrist. Looking at the blade, it also seems to be fused with some type of organic material, or maybe even muscular tissue, which would match Yuji's forearms. Now obviously this has yet to appear in the anime or any official colorized panels that I could find, so this is just my own interpretation that I made in Photoshop, and it's not accurate as to what the actual color scheme is or what materials it's made out of. But given Dragonbone's complex design of being able to accumulate not only force but cursed energy as well, and eject them out of the back of the blade in accordance to the user's will, combined with the fact that the hand sword Juzo created is sentient, which would be a huge accomplishment for the advancement of modern medicine, shows that Juzo can easily create special grade cursed tools from organic materials. So creating something like Yuji's gauntlets would be a simple task for someone of Juzo's caliber. Honestly, after Gojo turned Juzo into a human Twizzler, I could picture Yuta being the type of person to sneak into Juzo's workshop afterwards and just steal any unique or rare items. I like this theory better than anything I came up with in my own video that took me a month to make. So everyone just ignore that video and I vote we make this unofficial official fan canon. Next up we have Slick Silver 2961, who he gave a little bit of setup, so I'm just gonna jump right into his theory. Maki loaned Yuta those gauntlets, allowed him to take them, maybe to Kenya with Miguel. Their bizarre durability and sharp claws make it balanced offensive-defensive option for any sorcerer, which I kinda said that in my video. Maybe it was Maki's before she got into other weaponry? I kinda like that, before Maki was the whole polearm user deal. Also, Maki is often worried about her clan's cursed tools being stolen or lost, and when she was chewing out Yuta, a portion of her frustration was about those gauntlets. I could see that. Everybody remembers, Slaughter Demon and that whole ordeal in the first season. As for what they are, my personally unfounded theory is that they in some part belong to a cursed spirit. Okay, I could see that. Or made by that bald cursed toolmaker dude. Okay, he's talking about Juzo, what we just went over. I know he was kept alive by Gojo, but I don't remember entirely. Same. Based off the state of his body in that one panel, he's dead. He used limbs of his victims to make those tools, and those gauntlets are the only ones that look biological. I'd agree with that. Also, it's kind of curious how I was able to make completely bald fists while missing fingers. I mean, all the fingers clenched. Okay, he's talking about Yuji. I wonder if there's more like a second skin type armor. I kind of said that in my video a little bit. I don't know. Sort of similar to the Berserk armor Guts wore. I like it. Also, its appearance isn't entirely human either. The colors, the nails, the elbows, it's more cursed spirit-like or made from a technique like Yorozu/Mai. But that's enough yapping for me. LOL. Keep yapping away, my friend. Keep yapping away. So we kind of went over the whole Juzo thing on the previous commenter, so I'm just gonna kind of ignore that. Not ignore it in a bad way, just this part intrigued me a lot more, because this is the first time I've seen the construction technique brought up with these cursed tools in a discussion before, or at least in the comments in my video. I didn't see anyone else bring up the construction curse technique. Now, if I recall correctly, there are only two known users of the construction curse technique, as mentioned in Silver's comments, Mai and Yorozu. However, these two are on complete opposite ends of the scale in terms of power. Yorozu, who is by far the strongest user of the construction curse technique, was alive during the Heian era, much like Angel, and possesses a vast knowledge of materials that she can recreate with the exception of special grade cursed tools. Where in Mai's case, seeing how she's only ranked as a grade 3 sorcerer and is limited to only making one bullet per day, is by default the weakest construction user that we know of. However, regardless of their vast differences in power, both the users were able to construct two of the strongest special grade cursed tools in JJK, the replica Split Soul Katana and the Supreme Martial Solution, or Kamatoki. And they were able to accomplish this by using a binding vow to sacrifice the remaining life force to construct a weapon for the people that they care about most in this world, Maki and Sukuna. Now, I don't believe Yorozu or Mai created Yuji's gauntlets by using the construction curse technique, because like I mentioned earlier, they had to sacrifice the remaining life force in order to create special grade curse tools. We don't know all the powers of Yuji's gauntlets or, gloves, forearm protectors, whatever you want to call them. We don't know all of their abilities, but I would assume they are special grade cursed tools, and that would require some type of enormous tax from the construction curse technique, if that makes sense. However, thanks to Yorozu, we know that it is possible to construct flesh armor specialized in appropriating numerous biofunctions. So it's possible that in the sorcerer world, there exists a third unknown user of the construction curse technique, who actually created these gauntlets. And considering the heavy tax that comes with constructing powerful weapons, like I just mentioned, aka sacrificing your remaining life force, this third unknown user could have constructed these gauntlets in the last moments before their death, which is why we don't see or hear about them in the main story. Okay, and finally, for the last one, we have D's1178, who has more of an observation of a possible Easter egg than a theory, but whatever, we're gonna roll with it. He says, at 926, is it just me or does one of the cursed tools Rika has kinda look like Zangetsu? And the part of the video they're referring to is a panel from chapter 178 where Rika is displaying a large assortment of either cursed tools or normal weapons inside of her personal pocket dimension, or whatever you want to call it. And after reading the character guide, I know that Bleach was a big influence on the author, even though they tried to steer away from making it apparent inside of their work. Subtle references do pop up from time to time. Additionally, in chapter 195, we see an obvious reference to Demon Slayer in the form of a toy version of Tanjiro's katana. So it's not a stretch of the imagination to think that this sword is a subtle nod to Zangetsu, seeing how it's a larger sword with the handle only being wrapped in cloth and not a conventional material such as leather, hide, or cord. However, if I may interject with my own theory again, I like to believe that this chain is the remnants of the chain of 1,000 miles, which we haven't seen or heard from since chapter 75, when it was shattered during Toji's battle against Gojo. So, I don't know. It looks similar. But that's it for this video. I just wanted to do something quick, kind of involve the community a little bit. It's a small channel, so I thought something like this would be fun and, just have a fun discussion. Comment down below which theory was your favorite, or if you have your own fan theories you would like to share, we could do another one. We can make this whole thing a series. And it doesn't have to be JJK. Hang on. I will talk anything. I'll talk Demon Slayer, Naruto, Bleach, Solo Leveling. I will talk anything. I don't care. Well, okay. I will talk anything except One Piece. I don't know shit about One Piece. And I don't think it's bad. I honestly don't. I was just never able to get into it like other mangas. I probably shouldn't have said that. I probably should have withheld that information until, I don't know, I got monetized. 10,000 subscribers or something. Are you unsubscribing now because I said that I don't watch or read One Piece? It's okay. I figured you would. It's fine. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. If you stay subbed, I got Blue Exorcist. We can talk about that. Hunter is my favorite. I don't have any physical copies to try and bribe you with. It's all digital now. It's 2025. I don't collect that many physical copies anymore. I don't have that much space in here. I got a dual disc back there. That's cool. Mint in box. So if you stay subbed to this channel, you can see a slightly blurred out dual disc. Yeah. I got 5 pieces of Exodia hanging on the wall. They're fake reprints, but it still counts.